¿Cómo estás, Yoli?
¿Y tú? ¿Me ando buscando para hacer el programa?
No, disculpa, es que te digo que estaba ocupado haciendo mis cosas.
Sí, en la playa, ¿verdad? Bien
pues
ocupado con tus lentes y
pues
todo.
Somos dos, ¿no?
Sí. Hola, ¿qué tal, amigos? Les habla su amiga Yoliland con Full Conexion, por supuesto, transmitido desde Conexión Media, la casa donde prevalece el arte, la cultura y, por supuesto, las buenas relaciones. Estoy junto a
Guillermo Domínguez. Hola, amigos. Buenas noches.
Por acá, Memo, mira, tenemos la playa así como bien amplia y estamos en un rincón.
Allá por lo más hondo.
Memo, ¿cómo estás? Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes, muy bien, ya sintiendo el calorcito, ahora sí, ya hay que prender el aire acondicionado.
Que venga el invierno, sí, el invierno.
El invierno, sí. Ya.
Que venga el verano, que venga, claro que sí, aquí lo estamos recibiendo con los brazos abiertos.
Claro que sí.
Así es que bienvenidos a toda la gente que se está conectando esta tardecita. Estamos súper emocionados porque tenemos un programa buenísimo.
Muy buenísimo. Especialmente para los dueños de negocios, alguien que quiere empezar un negocio y necesite algunos tips. Esto te lo tenemos esta noche.
Así es. Y bueno, este programa va a ser bilingüe.
Va a ser bilingüe, así es. Esta vez la entrevista será en inglés. Normalmente agarramos entrevistas en español, pero esta vez la meta es llegar a más gente, ¿verdad?
Así
y que
es.
Gente más nos escuche y poder regalarte algún consejo de estas personas tan exitosas de esta vida, y qué bendición poder encontrarnos y toparnos con muchos artistas y gente que inspira, ¿no?
Así es. Y bueno, ¿y qué mejor empezar con una súper mujer?
Súper mujer, muy poderosa, muy fuerte, valiente y más que nada no le teme a nada.
A nada. Muy interesante eso y queremos saber todo acerca de su trayectoria. Es escritora de libros, ¿verdad?
Sí.
Tiene tres libros.
Tiene sus 2 libros, va para tres, así es, pero tiene una historia y una trayectoria tan increíble que es lo que respalda su experiencia y todas sus cosas que ha vivido, que la hacen una verdadera guerrera.
Súper, pues la tenemos aquí y queremos saber todo acerca de su historia, y pues obviamente que aquí Guillermo Domínguez nos va a hacer el honor de entrevistar a esta mujer súper poderosa, quien nos va a decir todo acerca de su trayectoria, ¿verdad? Y bueno, también le damos la bienvenida, por supuesto, a nuestro equipo aquí presente de Conexión Media. Claro que sí.
¡Producción!
Buenas tardes, señor productor.
Tarde.
Pues se escucha ahí como un grillito, ¿no? ¿Cómo estás, señor productor? Buenas tardes.
Bien, ¿ustedes cómo están?
Bien.
Súper emocionados porque usted nos puso este maravilloso fondo aquí que nos inspiró a Memo y a mí para, pues, dar un choque de hombros.
Que es para las clases de actuación.
Y hablando, es muy importante, y hablando de clases de actuación, por supuesto, todavía estás a tiempo de registrarte al taller de teatro que se está impartiendo aquí en Conexión Media. Estamos ubicados en el 2910 Norte 35 Avenida, suite número 3, Phoenix, Arizona, 85017. Sí, brillemos juntos, Memo.
Vivimos juntos y actuemos juntos, ¿no? La vida es un acto y el mundo es un escenario.
Así es. Y qué mejor que, bueno, puedes aprender en este taller, pues incluye todo eso, señor productor. Si nos vuelve a poner el flyer, se lo agradecería muchísimo, para decirle a toda la gente todo lo que va a aprender en ese taller, lo que incluye, por supuesto, conocimiento general del teatro experimental. Ay, caray, ya me sale mejor. Comedia, manejo de escenario, expresión corporal, muy importante, Memo, la expresión corporal.
Como ahorita estoy nervioso, no paro de moverme, estoy así.
Sí, así, entonces no. Hay que manejar eso, esas improvisación, que podamos improvisar, Memo. Siempre, claro que sí. Maquillaje, vestuario, escenografía, actuación para teatro y cine, desarrollo y estructura del guión teatral, la poesía, Memo, la poesía como parte esencial del teatro.
Así es.
¿Verdad? Y la poesía también cabe en el escrito. Por ejemplo, si uno quiere escribir una canción.
Expresar algo, ¿verdad?
Bueno,
así es.
Qué mejor que la poesía.
Sí, hay unos que pueden cantar esas palabras, otros escribirlas, otros solo pensarlas, pero entre todos nos ayudamos.
Así es. El taller de teatro está impartido por un súper instructor y tenemos estos talleres los sábados de 10 a 2 de la tarde y martes de 6 de la tarde a 9 de la noche.
Wow, ok.
O sea, súper intensivo.
Qué flexibles también, que hay 2 días a la semana donde tienes la oportunidad de venir.
Así es que estamos aprendiendo todas esas técnicas que son súper importantes en el desarrollo personal también. Claro. Y bueno, ¿qué es lo que viene el viernes?
El Open Mic.
¡Ay, el Open Mic! ¡Prepárense!
Así es, lo estamos esperando a todos los músicos aquí en Phoenix que se presenten mañana, viernes a las 7. Empieza a las 7, ¿te cambio?
No, aquí está.
Okay. Este será un open mic de artistas generales. Puedes venir a cantar, actuar, contar chistes, todo tipo de arte es aceptada. Empezamos a las 7 hasta que acabe, aunque dice ya a las 10 hasta que acabe, ¿verdad?
Sí, pues
así
es que acabe.
Entonces los esperamos, por favor vengan, tenemos baterías y bajo disponible, traigan sus amplificadores para ustedes, bandas, y si quieren algo especial, su micrófono, todo, pues si no lo tienen, te podemos ayudar, y si lo tienes, por favor, tráelo. Cada integrante tendrá de 10 a 15 minutos para participar su performance.
Así es. Y bueno, está abierto a todos los artistas, como cantantes, escritores, algo de teatro, poesía, lo que tú quieras, experimentar y desarrollarte en este gran escenario, pues.
Vas a tener un público aquí en FEXAM, entonces eso es lo más emocionante que yo trato de promocionar, es la oportunidad de presentarte como artista y tener un público y poder tener esa experiencia de estar en el escenario y ganarte a la gente y ganar más energía y más inspiración para que tú puedas crecer como artista y te animes, ¿verdad?
Así es. Lo tenemos todo, tenemos el escenario, tenemos la actitud, tenemos todo para que
las luces, el humo, todo.
La mesa está lista, así es que mañana arrancamos con el micrófono abierto. Estoy súper emocionada porque pues obviamente vamos a desfilar a todos los artistas, ¿verdad? Que van a estar participando.
Claro, y también va a haber actos especiales, especialmente por aquí una de las mejores personas que está aquí en FEXAM Media, Yoli. ¿Qué vas a hacer, Yoli, para este viernes?
Voy a hacer un acto de teatro, así es que estoy muy emocionada y pues es un reto también, obviamente, ¿verdad? Es un reto porque pues como todos tenemos muchísimas cosas que hacer, sin embargo estoy invirtiendo mi tiempo para crear este acto para todos ustedes. Y pues me encantó la música, la escenografía, todo está súper. Wow. Espero dar lo mejor de mí y pues que la gente lo disfrute, ¿no?
Claro, y qué bonito que te estás preparando con muchos artistas, te esperamos, vengan preparados y vamos a rockear.
Así es, dice el doctor Daniel Vargas Minervi, dice, me apunto, claro que sí. Eso. Y dice Maricruz, qué chido, saludos chicos, saludos Maricruz.
Y esos ojos de Maxine Martínez, ¿qué miras? Saludos Maxi.
Saludos, Maxine. Y Maricruz vuelve a decir, quiero ir, claro que sí, aquí te esperamos. Mañana empieza lo del micrófono abierto y el taller el sábado.
El sábado, ¿verdad? A las 10.
A las 10 de la noche. Y bueno, también, ¿qué más tenemos? También les queremos decir que estamos muy felices porque tenemos el podcast de Misceláneo Espiritual, ¿verdad? A las 5 de la tarde. Y tenemos un nuevo programa también que acaba de iniciar, acaba de nacer. Bueno, en la pantalla, porque esto se ha ido cocinando de hace varios días atrás. Así es que Misceláneo Espiritual, los invitamos a que lo vean todos los jueves a las 5 de la tarde, por supuesto conducido por el doctor Vargas Minervi. Daniel.
Así es, saludos, profe.
Y por supuesto, Phoenix Mundi, que dio su inicio, su primer segmento. Así es que le damos la bienvenida a María Alejandra Rosa.
Wow.
Argentina, que nos trajo un vinito de Argentina.
Oh, che.
Sí, buenísimo.
Nomás falta Messi. Oh, no falta Messi.
Y bueno, también pues su programa de Conexion, por supuesto, todos los jueves aquí. Ahora cambiamos el horario a las 7 de la noche, así es que véanos aquí y por supuesto conéctense. Conéctese por todas las redes sociales, Memo.
Así es, estamos en Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, TikTok, y nos puedes mandar correos electrónicos o hasta buscar nuestros números igual en las redes sociales para contactarnos. Por favor, salúdanos, danos un like o mejor aún, ven a visitarnos.
Y comparte el video para llegar a más corazones.
Así es.
Así es. Así que Maxine Martínez dice que ella también se apunta. Esperamos verla mañana. Ay,
canta
sí,
bien chido.
Sí, uy, pues la queremos escuchar y ver.
Está bien.
Ojalá y pueda venir. Ojalá.
Te
esperamos aquí. No, ya estamos súper emocionados. Mañana a las 7 de la noche arrancamos con el micrófono abierto.
Así es.
¿Qué más tenemos, señor productor? Creo que es todo. Concluimos con las clases de español e inglés. Ya estuvo. El lunes pasado. Ya, se acabaron. Y vienen nuevos proyectos. No se pueden perder todo lo que viene aquí.
Estoy copiando todo lo que las clases de actuación.
Sí.
Muy bien.
Súper. Y bueno, con eso nos vamos a unos comerciales y regresamos con la entrevista. ¿Cómo se llama la invitada?
Erline Belton.
¡Regresamos! By Yoli Land.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Regresamos nuevamente a tu programa de Full Connection y por supuesto tenemos esta gran invitada que estamos súper emocionados de presentarla y de saber todo acerca de este libro y de otro que tiene y está a punto de escribir el próximo, un tercer libro. Así es que bienvenida, Erline.
Welcome. Erline.
Thank you. Gracias.
All right. How are you doing? How's everything
I am
today?
doing great. And after watching the two of you, I'm doing even better.
Now I know we've now known each other for quite some time, but just you being there still makes me so nervous, you know?
Oh, don't be nervous. It's fantastic. You too.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you. So, Erline Belton, you guys, amazing person. How did I get to know you, right? How did she get here? Well, actually, Erline Belton is one of my customers. I do flooring and interior remodeling, and I ended up running into her house for a repair, and she needed a hearth to be built. At first, I thought, I'm just going into that house. I'm going to do what I got to do, and leave, get the job done. However, I didn't know I was going to run into a beautiful person like yourself who's caring, loving, and has an interesting story. Not just a story, but what a life you have. And so I'm very grateful to be able to present this to you guys. A person who has a million things to say. And I'm just grateful for you guys to have this opportunity. Erline, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, so
It's an honor for me.
thank you. Yeah, I never expected this. Like I said, I thought I was just going to work for you, get your house to look as beautiful as possible, then go, But since I met you from a nice drink of water to delicious food that you cook every morning, every lunch, I mean, you don't miss a meal. Definitely. So tell us about yourself. Tell us a little bit. What should the people know? Where are you from? Where were you raised?
Well, the first thing that they should know is that this gentleman is magnificent. I fell in love with him immediately, and I have adopted him as my grandson. And I have quite a few grandsons, so I'm going to add him to the list.
The food's good, so I'm staying.
I won't let him go. But he sat down at lunch and he wanted to know about me. And for most people, they don't think their story is very interesting.
Right.
But he was listening and he was like, wow. And I said, oh, well, maybe my story's okay. Yeah. I started out as a young girl growing up on a farm in South Carolina. And for a lot of you, you might know what this is like. My grandparents raised me. And we did not have lights or running water. We had a pump house where we had to pump our water. We had chickens, we had cows, we had pigs. We grew all our own vegetables. My grandfather plowed. And so all of our food came from the land. And so in other people's terms, we would have been poor. I didn't know it. For me, we were rich. We loved each other. We had a sense of community. The food was always there,
yes.
and it was magnificent. And then when I went to a one-room schoolhouse, and let me tell you, the lunches, fried chicken, collard greens, hot biscuits, and teachers who loved and cared about you. But my grandmother, when I was about 9 years old, decided I needed to go north for an education. And what she said to me was, you got too much mouth to live here. They're going to kill you. You got to go. You got to go north. Well, little did she know, north was worse than south in some ways.
What was going on around those times?
Well,
the north side
around those times, racism was rampant. White folks didn't like brown people and black people. It was as simple as that. And they wanted to keep you down. And my grandmother, she concluded that I was pretty smart. So she called my dad and said, you got to take her. So I came north. I was miserable. The food was terrible. The milk was like water. I hated it. And I wanted to go back. But I didn't. So I stayed up north, Boston, Massachusetts. I lived with my father who married, and my stepmother hated me. So my life was miserable from then on, from 9 until about 15. And then at 15, I fell in love. I got pregnant. I dropped out of high school. And I said, this will never do. So I went back to school. I eventually got my BA, my master's degree. I went to Columbia University for executive senior organization development. And I was a professor at Tufts University and then went on to teach at Harvard. So the story is an interesting story only because what I want to say to your audience is you got to say, yes, I can.
Right.
I can do this.
That's right.
No matter what your circumstances, if you make up your mind that you want to be more and you want to be better, you can. It's a choice. Right. It's truly a choice. So anyway, sort of in that space, I had 6 kids. Today I have 16 grandchildren, 5 great-grandchildren, and now I have another grandson. But I went on to teach at the university. I taught at Tufts. I taught at Harvard University. Okay, remember, I dropped out of high school now.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Then I went into corporate America. They thought I was pretty smart, and so I got promoted every 2 years.
Nice.
I ended up from Boston to Colorado to Phoenix, and then Phoenix back to Massachusetts to do the corporate international stuff. So eventually I ended up being an international manager of 31 countries around the world. And so I traveled extensively.
Oh, very. You've been everywhere.
Yeah, and everywhere. I always say to people, it's easier for me to say the countries I haven't been to than the ones I have.
What is your favorite country?
Africa.
Africa.
And I also loved Egypt. South America was amazing. The thing that's so interesting about travel is that every place has its uniqueness. I love Mexico. I don't understand why people want to come here. Mexico is beautiful in some places.
Right.
But every country is different and unique in the same way as human beings.
Right.
Every single one of us has a gift that we were born to give the world. You have a gift. I have a gift. Gmo has a gift. Everybody has a gift. You gotta figure out what it is, and then you have to give it, because that is your sole purpose on this planet, to figure out what your gift is and then to give it to others.
To figure it out, though, what must a person go through to figure it out? Is there choices where if you manage to make the right decisions, you might have an easy understanding and a happier life faster? Or is it more of a obstacle type of range?
I think it's both.
Both.
Sometimes things fall in your lap. There's consequences, and you choose a road. It might be perfect for you, but it also might be treacherous and not the right road. The real key is to begin to look at and ask yourself the question, is this right for me? And if it isn't, that's when the tough part comes.
Yeah.
Because none of us like change. We like to have our lives be smooth and easy, no bumps in the road. But guess what? There are going to be bumps. And those bumps are the places where we can either grow or shrivel up and die.
Yeah.
And that's where choice comes in. Am I going to choose growth?
Yeah.
And stay on this path even though it may be difficult? Or am I going to just give up?
Yeah.
For me, giving up is not a choice for me, but everybody has to make that decision for themselves.
And from your schooling all the way to your career, how were you able to manage all the things you've done and not break and not give up? Were you a person that reached out a lot, or did you manage to do it by yourself?
That is such a wonderful question. I love it, because I did a lot of public speaking, and people would always say, how could you have 6 kids, be in graduate school, and work full time? How do you do it?
Yeah.
And the answer for me was really simple. You never, ever stop to think that you cannot do it. You didn't have any time to stop and think about the fact that, what the hell am I doing with all of this? But the other thing is, you do have people around you who can help.
Yes.
And my sister, who's sitting in the audience, yay, Linda! Shout out for Linda. She was there for me. She took care of my children. She was in college herself, but she found time to take care of her nieces and nephews. And when I got in a pinch, she was there.
Yeah.
There weren't a lot of people who were there, to your question. I really had to do that struggle alone. I divorced my husband when I was 28. He was at Harvard. He got a PhD, but he was an asshole. And I said, I'm not going to live with him. I know you got to bleep it, right?
No. I'm just like, to all those assholes out there.
But that was a choice point for me too. Not an easy one, because here I was with 6 kids, and I'm working full time, and I'm with this man who's a nut. You know, it was all about him. His ego was in the way of him being a good husband and a good parent. And I made a choice. I don't want to live that way. I want to live with an open heart and an open spirit. It's not about my ego and who I am and what I've done. It's about what I can contribute to the world. So I made a tough choice.
Right.
Yeah.
And it wasn't an easy choice, but I made it.
How can we make a choice without feeling guilt of selfishness?
I think feeling guilt and selfish is a normal feeling. So what I suggest people do, and when I do workshops, I say to people all the time, you get 15 minutes for a pity party. 15 minutes, that's it. So you can feel sorry for yourself and you can feel guilt, but in 15 minutes, you need to get your butt up and get busy doing something that makes your life better. So you can have your pity party.
You can, right?
By the way, you might have it today, and then next week you might have another one, but you only get 15 minutes, and then you got to get up and say, my life is worth it. I'm making a choice to do me better.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Wow. And so leading it into this powerful message, what is this book about? Your voice matters as a title. Voice matters.
Okay,
Whose
first
voice
I got to
matters?
talk about the cover of the book. My daughter is an artist. She graduated from Mass College of Art. And when we were thinking about the cover, I had a vision at night. And what I saw was a broken heart with tears cleansing the earth. So I went to my daughter and I said, this is what I envisioned. Can you create it? And this is what she created. And that's essentially what the book is about. The book is about being able to stand up for what you believe. What I talk about in the book is that your voice matters. Your voice is different than mine. Your voice is different than mine. If we listen to all three voices and come together, wow, that's a wow. We can make the world better. We're all put on the planet to make the world better.
And it doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man.
It doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man or a baby or a child or an old person, a senior person, or a middle-aged person. We all have something to contribute, and all of our voices are different. And until we learn that we need to have all the voices at the table, we're going to be in the mess we're in right now in this country because we're not hearing all the voices. So in this book, I ask you to take a look at those times when you should have spoke up and you stayed silent because you were afraid of what people would think about you, right, or what they would say about you, or the fact that you had a different view. And if you spoke your own view, you would be ostracized.
Right.
So this book gives you ways to begin to think about how to bring your voice forward and how to make your voice heard in the world, because your voice is precious.
Right.
And it makes a difference.
And we all, that inner voice that we have in ourselves, right?
That's right.
That you say it's different. We speak to ourselves all the time.
Exactly.
Whether we realize it or not, who do we spend the most time with is ourselves.
That's right.
So, and what I believe most of us, that the biggest mistake we make is we tend to take care of everybody,
but not
try
ourselves.
to help everybody, but not ourselves. We're the last person to look after.
That is a beautiful point, because that inner voice will give you guidance. It will give you direction. That's where the angel speaks to you. That's where God speaks to you. And you can only hear that voice when you're quiet. You can't hear that voice when there's raggedy stuff everywhere. When there's so much going on and you can't hear your own voice, you need to find a quiet space.
And you don't have to know everything, right?
Yeah, you don't have to know. In fact, you know what's powerful about a voice is me saying to you, you know what? I don't know the answer to that. Let's think about this together. Let's see what we can figure out. That's power.
Right.
But when you try to do it all by yourself, most times you're going to screw it up. And you do.
Right. And that's how you manage your time. Like everybody has 24 hours.
That's right.
So that's how you manage your time with different people.
That's right.
Around you. Right?
And you know what? I want to say something about the people we surround ourselves with, because I talk about that in the book as well. There are people who come around you who are so negative. And the way that you know is that when they leave you, you're like, oh,
Exhausted.
I'm so glad they're gone. You're exhausted. You're tired. You need to get those people out of your life. They need to go somewhere else. Go sit down someplace, but not in my house. So that's really important that we surround ourselves with like minds, but not so much that we don't hear different voices and different points of view. Because when we're talking to only people who think like ourselves, our mind stays small. We need to expand it.
Yes.
You know, we need to hear the words of other people.
Yeah, like basically, once we understand and hear our own voice, what would be the next step to that?
Once you hear your own voice, you got to honor it.
Okay.
And you've got to say, you know what? I just heard my voice. This is fantastic. I must be okay.
Right.
You got to accept that your voice does indeed matter and that you're okay. No matter what anybody says, you're enough. You're enough to sit at the table and have something to say.
Yeah. Beautiful. And I just got to ask, when you talk about those obstacles, those bumps that we have in our lives, could those be moments of truth that we deny? Or could it actually be plans we can control? What could those bumps be?
I don't think you can control the bumps so much.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. I think the bumps are the place where we can get growth. Those bumps are there to say, stop, take a look. What do you need to do differently? And then you can make your choices. But you've got to acknowledge the bump. You got to acknowledge when you're wrong. You got to acknowledge when you made a mistake. There's nothing wrong with that. I think people are most powerful when they're vulnerable.
Yeah.
You know what? I made a mistake. Damn it. But you know, I'm going to fix it.
Yeah.
I'm going to get it right. I'm going to do it better. But until you acknowledge it, you can't do anything about it.
You can't do anything.
Right.
So you got to acknowledge it.
Yeah. And now, throughout your career and working on your inner voice and listening to it, what about the people around you? What about taking in advice and then it going against your own voice? Is there battles that we must face sometimes?
Yes, I don't think you should ever go against your own voice.
Okay. Well,
when you were quiet and still, that voice is magical.
Yeah.
And that voice speaks with truth.
Okay.
And that's when oftentimes you have to make a tough choice. That you wouldn't make. You don't want to make it because it means change for you.
Yes.
And it means change for other people. And guess what? People don't want you to change because they want you to be predictable.
Right.
And when you hear that voice and you say, I'm going down this road, see you later, people don't like that. So they'll get mad at you and shun you and everything else. But you better follow that voice.
Got to follow the voice against any advice taken in.
That's right.
External.
Absolutely.
Wow. All right.
It's
very beautiful.
Yeah.
And I mean, this book has a ton of stuff. You mentioned children earlier. Their voice matters as well. What can children have an impact to adults? If adults are the ones that take care of children, right? Children are learning.
Children are amazing because children say the damnedest things. And usually when they say it, they're right. And I believe this story is in this book. I think it's in this book. My grandson, great-grandson, it was my great-grandson. I tell the story about him. It was my grandson had a barbecue.
Okay.
And he had lots of people there. And one of his friends, who actually was my great-grandson's godfather, said that he wanted to do something with my grandson. And my great-grandson said, I don't want to do it with you. And so my grandson was like, whoa, what's going on? And my great-grandson said, I don't like him. I don't want to be with him. So
how old was he at this?
He was about 3 years old.
What, 3?
So my grandson was smart enough to not make a scene. And he said, well, okay. So everybody went about their business. My grandson went back to my great-grandson and he said to him, why did you say that you don't like him? Why didn't you want to be with him? He said, because I saw him hit his wife and I didn't like it. And my grandson just pulled back.
Yeah.
But how many of us would have had the courage to say to somebody, I don't want to be with you because of the way you treat your wife? So this little 3-year-old saw something, got a feeling, and he acted on that feeling. I thought that was a beautiful moment. And thank God that my grandson didn't say, which would have been our tendency, that's not nice. Don't you say that. You gotta let them speak.
Yeah.
That was his voice.
Yeah.
So my grandson could have stifled him, or he could have did what he did, which was let it go and try to understand it later, because he had no idea that my great-grandson witnessed this. Wow. So when I say little kids they got it.
They got it.
They're better than us on some things.
Many things. That is beautiful. And this is just one of two books. And what about your other book? We don't have it here in this way.
I should have brought it.
Would it be a continuous sequel to this?
No, it was the first book.
It's the first book. The
first book is really about how you create legacy. And it's called A Journey That Matters, Your Personal Living Legacy.
Yes.
And basically the philosophy around that book is we are creating legacy every moment that we take a breath. So right here, sitting here, you're creating your legacy. What people see on the podcast, they make opinions about you. You're creating legacy. So the book is about understanding that every moment that you are alive, you're creating legacy. And if you want a legacy that defines you in the way you want to be defined, you need to be conscious about it and realize that you're doing it. Because that crap that they say when you die, and this is what drove me to write the book. My mother died very early at 36. She was an alcoholic. And I went to the funeral, and this man who was talking about my mother, I don't know who he experienced, but it wasn't her. So I started thinking about legacy, and I said, I don't want somebody defining me when I'm dead. I want to define myself while I'm living. And so that's what that book is about. How do you define yourself each moment in your living life? Are you living the life you want to live so that when people talk about you, there's no mistake who you were?
But Erline, when I think of my legacy, when I try to dream of my future and as I try to create it, I get anxious. I get fearful sometimes because we don't know what the future may bring us.
That's right.
So how, as we are building it, how can we safely dream of what we want in our lives?
I think your dreams are the most powerful thing that you have. We all need a dream and a place to go. So don't ever give up on your dreams. The fear is a normal thing, but you have to move through the fear to find out who you really are. If you sit back and you let the fear take over, you're paralyzed. You're stiff. You don't move. You get nothing done. You gotta knock it out of the way and say, that dream, I'm going for it. It's my dream. I deserve it. And I'm going to make it happen.
Make it happen.
Yes.
We got some comments here. Maxine Martinez says, he's too sweet.
Oh, it's about the shout out from earlier.
Wow.
Oh, but we got Quentin
And then,
Cows down
Bro,
there.
you speak my language.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you, Maxine.
Quentin,
Tough times. Tough
Alexander,
times.
saludos, equipo FEXAM, bendiciones. ¿Qué? Pobres.
Si se puede.
Sí se puede.
Woman, much respect. She's talking about you.
Gracias, Maxine. Gracias.
Everyone has a path, it just depends on how you take it.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Angel, hell yeah, Memo.
Shout out to my boy. Wow.
Wow, that's
Maxine,
wonderful.
Love it. I agree.
Great.
Thank you guys for
Thank
commenting and
you.
showing some love.
Much
This is
love. Don't
such-
forget to dream big, and make them happen.
That's
How
right.
pretty, period. And then where can we get the book?
Oh, where can
Where
you get
can
the
we get
book?
this book?
I'll have
Thank you.
some here.
All right, we'll
Yeah.
have some here, and you can also get them off of online.
You
purchases.
can, well, the best place is to get them from me, Erline Belton at gmail.com. And I'll
And
get you a book.
We'll have your information out on
Yeah.
the platforms as well, so
Great.
you guys can purchase the book. Yes.
And then she said, I agree. Dreams are important to your working life.
Absolutely.
Right.
Right on. It's so
All
beautiful receiving some love back, right?
And so- yeah, thank you.
Some
Thank you. I send it
comments.
and I receive it. That's
Thank you.
very important to send love, but to also be able to receive
Right.
love.
Thank you. That's
It's the
right.
most precious thing you can do in life. Give it and receive it.
And talking about love, I actually have a special gift for you
Oh,
for
okay.
all the good times you've given me, for the opportunity getting to know you, and for coming here. We brought you this beautiful gift.
Oh, how nice. Oh,
Uno de
gracias. Linda, this is our.
Oh, this is your guys'. We did talk about sweet red
thank
blend.
you.
Some beautiful flowers for you.
I love flowers.
Thank you. Thank you so
Oh.
much. Yes,
you.
no, you are very special. Your books are so special, and your story, I mean, there is always something about you that leaves these chills in me, and that it's able to relate to my life, because in everybody's life, we all have obstacles,
Yes.
no matter how rich or poor. It's different values. We grow up differently. Life is not the same for everybody.
That's right.
But all what we can do as humans is to be together,
That's right.
unite, and fight through. And that's what this book is about.
And it's about loving each other. We've
Yes.
got to love each other, no matter that we're different. Send some love. One love, as Bob Marley would say.
Yes.
Yes.
And love is universal.
That's right.
Yes. And your first ingredient to cooking.
Right. It's love.
It's love.
Absolutely.
That's most definite.
That's right. That's right.
I want to
Alright.
try the food.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You gotta try it.
Oh, how
Definitely.
beautiful.
Tenemos los últimos saludos. Dice. A
It says
ver.
printing.
Okay. Great.
Dice Roca Rock.
Bye.
Saludos, muchachas. Maxine, no problem. Maybe Gutiérrez, saludos afectuosos desde Acapulco.
Acapulco, Mexico.
Oh,
That's
nice.
from there.
Nice.
Maxine, ow, how sweet. Girl, let me cook for you.
Okay. Decor.
Cookout party at Maxie's.
Los traes mañana, Maxine, al open
Sí.
mic.
Unos taquitos. Gracias a todos por estar esta noche con nosotros. Qué entrevista tan increíble con ese increíble autor de libros y persona. Esperamos poder seguirles trayendo estas personas tan increíbles en esta vida, que nos puedan revelar sus historias, que nos inspiren a seguir adelante.
Sí, el liderazgo, el amor, aprender y enseñar es universal. Así es que en español, en inglés, en cualquier idioma, pues siempre queremos recibir, ¿verdad? Eso.
Any shout outs to anybody from South Carolina, any family members out there?
Oh,
you'd like
yeah,
see
to
me
Jimmy
shout out?
and Ben and Amora and Kalima. Who else, Linda? To Linda, my sister Linda.
Linda.
Yeah.
It's beautiful to have family here with you.
Yes,
That's
it
awesome. All right.
Bueno, pues muchísimas gracias. It was an honor for us
Thank
to
you.
have you here.
Gracias.
And the time went
Fast.
so fast.
Yeah. Like 5 minutes. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're so welcome, my heart.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
All right.
Y bueno, muchísimas gracias a todos. Something else that you want to add before we're leaving?
You know, the only thing I would say is be kind to yourself. And if you are kind to yourself, being kind to other people will come easy. Be loving to yourself, because if you love yourself, it's so easy to love other people.
Start by loving yourself, please.
Yes.
Muchísimas gracias y nos vemos, por supuesto, mañana en el micrófono abierto y el próximo jueves con nuevos invitados, con nuevos, pues el nuevo programa que tenemos. Y muchísimas gracias al equipo Fexan, por supuesto. Muchas gracias. Muchísimas gracias, Memo, por siempre estar aquí con nosotros.
Un honor.
Y pues, a darles, Memo.
A darle para frente, a seguirle.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right.
Y buenas noches, nos vemos.
Buenas noches.